Hello guys and gals, welcome back to another video. Like I said always in my videos, grab some popcorn, lay down. If you're at work listening to this, I know some of you are. Whatever you're doing, just get through it. You can do it. If you're at school, just finish that test, finish your studies, just get through the day. And if you're sleeping, you can do this. You can go to bed and relax. Now, before I begin the video, I just want to get these quick things out of the way. By the end of this year, I want to see 100,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of 2025. If we can do that, that would be beautiful. Now, I also want to hit 50,000 by the end of the summer, and I'm just going to start doing double uploads. So, without further ado, let's get right on to the video. Seventh grader. So this is a very long story. My old middle school does this thing, it's called a candygram, and you pay for a note and a candy to be delivered to a friend. This was usually during the holidays and fundraising season. I never really got one. Yeah, I have plenty of friends, but what kind of middle schooler is going to pay $5 for that kind of stuff? Halloween of 2022, I was in my first class of the day, advisory, and like every other year, they were passing out these candygrams. Imagine my surprise when one was given to me. I initially assumed it was from my past best friend and that he just wrote something stupid. Nope. Instead, it just said, "You are cute. Love, Anonymous." I was elated. Nobody ever had much interest in me at that point, and the thought of someone going out of their way and spending money on me was very flattering. I show my friends an advisory and then move on to the next class. Except this time someone knows who Anonymous may be. They say this girl in their advisory has a massive crush on me, but they won't tell me who. After a bunch of guessing, I settle on one person. Her name is Trisha, and she is a friend of a friend. Up to that point, I'd only talked to her once during a gym period, and I had to be reminded of what she even looked like. The day goes on, and we have a Halloween assembly. Everything is normal. On my way out to the gym, I look behind me to see if any of my friends are nearby, and lo and behold, Trisha is standing behind me. The reason I remember this was so vividly is because she slipped on a purge mask as soon as we made eye contact. I sound like a bad horror author, but I shit you not, that is what happened. Needless to say, I ran away and did some legendary trick-or-treating that night. The next day, I opened my locker to a pink folded-up piece of construction paper. It is a poem. Roses are red and violets are blue. You are for me, and I love you. Secret lover. I'm looking at it as I type this right now. I run over to my friend, and we are both bent over laughing, because what the hell? The next weeks I have about 2 notes in my locker every day, but here are the worst. I want you at your house because I just can't imagine how our house would look like when we're married. What? Your feet probably smell amazing. From the watcher. She's never even been near my feet. You smell nice. Never been within 10 feet of this girl. Hi. Love, it's me. I love you. Have a nice day. Stalker. Why would you call yourself Stalker? I apologize for the creepy ones. She knows she was doing something weird. I'm sorry, baby boy. I just love you so much and need to be with you. Stalker. I'm a girl. Always have been. These are all word for word, and I'm staring at the pile of them right now. She kept switching sign-offs to either the Watcher, Secret Lover, Anonymous, and Stalker. Why would you ever call yourself a stalker? Most times my friends would see her slip the notes into my locker during passing period, and I once even saw her do it myself. In about a week, all my friends know every detail of this fiasco, and they all found it pretty funny. Honestly, I did too. Remember that friend of a friend? Well, her and I are very close, and she lives within 5 minutes of walking distance of my house. She said when her and Trisha were hanging out, she kept bringing me up and asking questions about my family. Then she asked if my friend would show her my house. My friend insisted that she wouldn't, but Trisha was persistent. No matter how many times she said no, Trisha would ask and ask. My friend never did tell her my address, and she kicked Trisha out of her house. That same friend added me to a Google document that Trisha's friend group used to talk through throughout the day, and every single thing was about me. What I was wearing that day and who I was walking with, and how Trisha and I would make such a good couple. Trisha even wrote down my mom's license plate numbers in the doc. I wish I had screenshots, but even if I did, I don't have that device anymore. Mind you, I was 12 at the time. This was all happening, so I was very stupid, and I make my presence known in the doc. I don't remember what I said exactly, but it was something along the lines of what the hell. I had my best friend in the document, and he starts putting on a performance, claiming that we are a couple and Trisha needs to back off. Trisha says sorry, and it's all quiet for a few days. I go back to the dock and to see if anything else has happened, but now it's just Trisha and I in it. She tells a story of how she was up all night crying, writing me an apology slash love letter, and how she threw it in a fire. I have no clue why she felt the need to share all of this, and I decided I was going to the counselor. I'm sad to admit that up to that point I thought it was all really entertaining, but something about her burning things fucked with me. And after I tell this whole tale to the counselor, Trisha gets pulled out of class. But guess what? They didn't delete the document. I'm still baffled that all she got was reprimand and was still left with the way to contact me. She says a bunch of weird shit that I have blocked out at this point, but I remember her saying when they said my name during her getting in trouble, if you can even call it that. She had a huge pit in her stomach. Needless to say, I removed myself from the dock and didn't give her any more attention. Mind you, throughout this whole thing, I've never spoken to her in person. She continued to stare at me during lunch for the rest of the year and ask people really weird questions about me. But thankfully that has stopped now that we are in high school. I occasionally see her in the halls and I just walk quickly as I can past her. Well, Trisha, let's not meet. Wow, that was a story, alright. Before I say anything else, I just want to say sorry for any slip-ups. It was kind of hard to read that one. The user's grammar was a little all over the place, but that's fine. I found this story intriguing because it was just such a interesting experience. In life, kids are weird, right? And we've all experienced being weird or being around weird kids, even in middle school. But I think what people, don't understand is, at least the people that are weird. Yeah, acting weird to an extent is, it's whatever. But they don't realize that things can turn into borderline stalking, right? Like, that's just kind of like the issue. And I don't know. This story kind of opens up my eyes to, hey, everyone's weird, but I don't think kids realize how weird they are. So thank you for sharing that story. I enjoyed it. The grammar was a little all over the place, and I had a hard time reading it, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to share it. A memory from my year 3 school camp came back to me, and now I can't stop thinking about how weird it was. I live in a regional city in Australia. It's relatively big, but once you leave the center of the city, it's pretty much all bushland and trees. When I was in year 3, my school took all the year on a school camp to a campground 45 minutes out of town. It was a one-night trip, and we were all super excited. After a long day of archery, basketball, tennis, and all the other things you can do on camps, we had dinner and went to bed. I distinctly remember laughing and messing around with my friends before we all fell asleep around 11 p.m. Now the next part I had forgotten for years, until only recently it came up to my mind. And now it's the clearest part of my memory. I used to be terrified of the dark and used to wake up multiple times a night. This certain instance, I woke up in my cabin at around 2 a.m. I remember this as I had a watch that was very special to me, and for some reason, looking at it and checking the time comforted me in the dark. When I woke up, I felt like something was off. Not wrong, but off. I looked around my cabin and saw nothing of interest, but then I was struck with such an intense feeling to just look out the window. It was right next to my bed. Our room was on the second level of this cabin complex, so when you looked out the window, you had to look down to see the ground directly below you. When looking out the window, I saw nothing, and just when I started to look away, something caught my eye. I could have sworn I saw something right below the window, almost out of sight, if you were simply looking forward. I looked down, and I saw someone, not the average person, more like a tweaker. He was tall, maybe 6'3 to 6'4, and his skin looked like he had just fallen off hard on cement. He was covered in scrapes and grazes, and his hair had been all buzzed off. He looked about 40, but I think he may have been mid-20s, based on his super skinny build. He wore a dirty black hoodie and black jeans that looked like motorbike pants. He also wore what looked like a mix between a fedora and a cowboy hat. The image I have attached is almost exactly the same if it looked more like a human. When I looked down, his eyes caught mine instantly. He was staring into the window. He didn't move his head there when he saw me. No, he had been actively staring into that window before I was even there. He stared with such white eyes, like he was straining all the muscles in his face to pop his eyes out as much as possible. The second we locked eyes, I ducked back down and hid under the covers. I wanted to scream and yell and tell my friends, but I was so scared that I couldn't even move. I waited under those covers for what felt like hours until I felt like I was safe. I slowly peeked out from the covers again and checked the window. He was still there. He had moved a bit to the right, but he was still there, staring intently at my window. I didn't even get to become fully level with the window before I ducked out of sight again and went back under the covers, whimpering. I'm not sure how, but I managed to fall asleep. When I woke up, it was light out, and all my friends were happily waking after their sleep. I woke up and checked the window again, praying he was gone, and luckily, he was. I told my friends about it that morning, and they all laughed at me for having a nightmare, and I think I believed it. I forgot about it for 10 years, but when it came back to me the other week, I realized that it couldn't have just been a dream. Everything was so real. I have very weird dreams, never having one that actually makes sense. My dreams always flow so weirdly, so the absolute consistency is almost proof to me that this actually happened. Also, I specifically remember laying under my covers for ages, something that I doubt would happen in a dream. I have no idea who was outside my window or what he was doing. I just hope that he isn't continuing what he was doing, because that look in his eyes told me that whatever he was doing there, he was not messing around. I don't know what I saw, but I just wish I had an answer. Wow, that was a story. Like, I don't know, that was odd. When I was a kid, I remember I was on a beach and I saw this guy with bandages on his face walking down in the fog, and I was like 4. It was a weird memory, and I still talk about it with my friends to this day. Where I live in Oregon, it's called the Cannon Beach Man, or the Ghost Man. It's some urban legend, and I swear to God, I saw him, and it felt so real. Or another time when I saw a pterodactyl in the sky. I could have sworn I saw one, and I was about 4. You see, in life we see things, and we can have sworn that it was real, but at the end of the day, human memory is horrible. It's not good. You can believe that something happened, but to be honest with you, it might have happened, it might have not. Now, this story is much more realistic than pterodactyls flying in the sky, but I have to say, it was intriguing. And also, it reminds me of a time when I was a kid and we were camping in a similar environment. When I was reading this story, I kind of visualized it. It was interesting. So thank you for sharing that. On to the next. And be safe. The scariest lift ride I've ever given. This is my first post to r/let's not meet. And for story context, I'm a 29-year-old male to female who presents as masculine for work-related things like rideshare. Basically, this means I don't generally get tilted by people calling me he, him, because, well, I don't pass. Anyway, so I use both apps, Uber and Lyft, and your girl doesn't usually have any problems. The riders are generally pretty nice and or quiet, and honestly, I enjoy giving rides. Not a lot of money, but enough in between paychecks at my big girl job to be enjoyable to do when I can. However, as I was cruising off from a ride, I get a new request for like $20 or $30. Not uncommon, but sometimes that means it's far as shit. This one was only 45 minutes, so not too bad. Plus, money. So I'm driving to the pickup pin, and it's at a decently fancy Japanese grill and kind of run-down dispensary. I park out of the way of traffic and hit arrive. 2 minutes, nobody. 3 minutes, someone walks up and she gets to my door. Now, here's where the scary shit starts. She doesn't immediately open the door. She reaches for the handle, sure, but she then proceeds to lean completely forward against my rear passenger's door and laugh. She's laughing into the paint. Then she bends all the way backwards to the point her legs are almost 45 degrees with her torso. She opens the door, and apparently my last rider left something in the back seat, and she stops laughing and starts snickering. I hit her with the, "Hi, are you rider's name?" in my forced masculine voice. In a creepily cutesy voice, she says, "Yeah, that's be me. Someone done dropped a thing in your back seat, Mr. Uber man." I notice and ask to keep it in the front seat with me so I can return it later. Oh damn, guess she must have left it on accident. She stares not at me but at the rear view mirror and says, "Ain't you gonna call her?" I tell her I'll do it when a request comes in to return it, like I usually do. Now, quick aside to explain the characterization of this woman I've made so far. I'm going out of my way to be any kind of prejudice. She legitimately spoke this way, and beyond just a country vernacular, she spoke as if she couldn't read well. As someone who's worked with people with traumatic mental disorders or people who are severely mentally disturbed or see neurodivergent as a volunteer, I try my best not to be annoyed or be a bitch in these situations. Anyways, we head off towards our destination pin 45 minutes away. First red flag, because the others so far could just be a writer being weird or drunk. She asked me to stop at a UPS store on our way to her destination. No biggie, right? Here's the issue. She didn't specify where, just the UPS. And as I open Google Maps to find the nearest one, she says, "Oh, you don't have to, but I have to get my friend out of jail. If I don't get this package, he gonna be there overnight." Mm-hmm. Oh, I said, not getting what the package had to do with jail, but playing along. "Well, it's just he gonna be there all night. If we don't get him out, he gonna kill somebody. He in jail for killing." Mm-hmm. What the fuck? When I freak out visibly, but not audibly, she smiles and says, "Oh, we don't have to go there. Let's keep going back on the road. I know you Uber guys gotta make your money." Yeah, Uber drivers don't got a lot of money, do they? Weird pivot, but we keep going, and I nervous laugh and say, "Yeah, but I don't mind if you need me to stop." Wrong move. She continues to stare at me from the rear view every time I glance back. We're on the highway before she says anything. "I likes this car. What car this be?" I tell her, "Oh, it's nice. You like it? You like this car?" I nod and say, "Oh, yep, it's a nice car." Then she turns to the empty seat next to her and starts arguing with the air. "No, it's his car. No, I don't think he wants to do that. Stop it." I say, "Everything okay?" "Oh, my friend just say this car is nice." "Oh," I say. I'm a bit freaked out, but it's whatever. People are weird. It's not unusual for a grown woman to have imaginary friends. "Mr. Uberman, do you think it's okay to steal if you have to?" I just shrug and go, "I mean, what do you mean?" Like, if I was in a local grocery store and wanted bread, I should be able to take it, right? Especially if I work there. I shrug again. "I ain't no thief. It's 'cause I needs it." She turns around and yells at my trunk. "I got money, right, Mr. Uberman? I got a job, so I got money." She's getting visibly more agitated. And then she turns to Trunk Coon and says, "What? No, you tell her to simmer down now. He's a nice man." And goes on this long rant about how she's not a vagabond and she's got a job, so she ain't poor. But that poor people like to pretend they're not poor, switching from seat next to her to Trunk Coon. Eventually, she smirks and it's kind of off-putting because she's missing teeth. Now, do I necessarily care if someone is talking to themselves in a Lyft ride? No, I don't judge people. Life is hard. But when her imaginary friends start to sound like they want me to die, yeah, I do mind. I don't like being alive, but I'm not going to let someone else decide that. Then I'm driving and keeping myself, and she smirks in the rear view and says in a scarily soft voice, "Aren't you sleepy? Are you hungry, honey? They say you're real sleepy. Do you like boba?" I'm not gripping the steering wheel and avoiding eye contact. "Oh, no, I'm okay. Thank you for the offer, though." "I'll pay if we stop," she says in her sing-song voice from earlier. "Let's stop. Maybe you could even pull over and nap for a bit." She's baring her teeth at this point. I'm internally screaming that I want this ride over ASAP. But $20 is $20, so we keep driving. "Well, you killed her, so it is what it is," she says randomly to Trunk Coon. "So, new intel. She's talking to dead people. Holy spaceballs." Now I'm even more apt to not stop. We get to a stop sign and she stares at the headrest and leans forward. Oh, forgot to mention, all of this is happening while she's sitting directly behind me. She leans forward and sticks out one bony finger and points on my shoulder. "How does your body feel, Mr. Uberman, huh? You sure don't want something to eat? I could feed you if you just pull over somewhere." So it's like the 10th time she tried to get me to stop, and then she says, "He's sleepy, ain't he? He gonna kill someone if he don't get sleep. Someone gonna die, He got two choices. He choose." I ask, "Or who is going to kill someone?" She looks aware and gets an angry face. "Nothing. No one." So eventually, after being deaf stared at her and imaginary ghost friends talking about robbing and or killing me, we get to her destination and she gets out. "Oh, thank you for being so patient. Make sure you don't forget to eat," she says, with deliberate pauses, and then she comes around to my window and smiles against the glass. I drive home and didn't drive for Lyft for a week. So, to the lady who kept getting me to pull over to sleep with her in the car, let's not meet. Wow, that was a story, all right. That was funny. I could not help but not laugh when reading that one. That was weird. I don't really know that Lyft, in my opinion, has always been just weird experiences with drivers, and I've always thought about, oh, maybe I should do Uber or Lyft, but whenever I think about it, I'm like, well, these are strangers in my car, and I'm allowing them to be in my car. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just this story is kind of creepy, like in that way. But yeah, just be safe out there, man. I'm telling you, Even door dashing, I've done that, and those experiences have not been fun. So, just stay safe out there. My ex has been stalking me. Let me just say I was young and dumb when I met him. I am 18 years old, and I met him when I was 16. I was never in a relationship before him. I was a bigger girl and just had an extremely hard time getting guys to like me. I met him on Snapchat. I didn't realize it then, but he had lung bombed the hell out of me. I was so lost in the feeling of being wanted that I ignored the extreme red flags. After only a week of talking, he convinced me to meet him at his house to hook up. He lived almost an hour away from me, and I was a new driver. Anyways, how we met is not the point. He showed extreme signs of being a narcissist and even admitted to me that he believes himself to be a sociopath. But he never let the red flags keep me from leaving him. He was possessive over me and manipulated me into believing he was the only one there for me. Made me cut off my friends and even made me distance myself from my family. He cheated on me so many times, and I caught him 3 times. He admitted it to me that out of the 18 months we were together, he was faithful for 3, which is bullshit. He cheated on me the entire time. I had evidence of which, but in the end he kept lying to save his own fucking ass. I have extreme abandonment issues due to my father. My abandonment issues aren't only about me. I have a deep fear of abandoning people who need someone. I thought he needed me. He was going in the Marines. His ship date was late June of 2024. A few days before he skipped off, I proposed to him. I know I'm stupid. Don't get me started on how much I hate myself in this situation, but if you've ever been emotionally and psychologically abused, you can understand that you simply cannot think about yourself and your safety. You think about what is best for your abuser so that they are happy, so that they don't have a reason to abuse you. We made it through boot camp. We sent letters all 13 weeks. It felt so magical to know someone loved me enough to stay true to our relationship through something difficult as long-distance military relationship. I loved him so much that I saved money to drive down to California to see him graduate. It was amazing, and when I thought we were the best days of my life. He was still quiet and reserved. He always was. I never saw a problem with it because he was his true self when he was with me. When he came from California, he lived with me. He had a bad relationship with his parents and made me believe he had nowhere else to go. This was my mistake because once he moved in, I was truly trapped. He did RA late August to late October. He shipped back off to California for schooling, and so started our long-distance relationship once again. One morning in March of this year, I woke up and checked my phone. If you have ever been cheated on and stayed, you just become paranoid. He had 2 Instagram accounts, one of which he blocked me on. I created another Instagram account just so I can watch his followers and his posts. He started following more and more women. On that day, he had posted on his main account a story that was hidden from me. He posted a joke about cheating on your dumb girlfriend. You don't joke about shit you have done. So again, I sent him a message explaining just how unfucking funny it was and how he knows how much that shit traumatized me. Afterwards, I was done. I messaged girls he followed on his other account and learned he was on dating apps. After that, it was the end of us. There were 3 days of us communicating. On April 2nd, I took his belongings to his parents' house and blocked him, told him to never contact me again. Everything was silent for a few weeks and I was healing. This man abused me for almost 2 years and he made me believe so many nasty things about myself and my family. I would go into more details, but at this point, this shit is a novel. One night, late April, I got a text on my phone. Package arrived. I was confused and responded with a question mark. The number told me there was something on my porch. When I opened the door, there was a notebook sitting there. Mind you, it was 11 p.m. at night, so I'm freaked the fuck out. Front to back, this notebook was filled with letters from my ex. I refused to read it. He had gone out of the Marines on a other than honorable discharge, and he moved to the city next to mine. He hated my town and how desolate it was. He moved 20 minutes away from me just so he could be close. He could have moved anywhere, but he moved to a town he hated just to be close to me. Also, he doesn't have a car, so he rode his bike 13 miles just to drop this on my porch. I gave the notebook to my parents and messaged the number back to never contact me again and to never come near my house or else I'd be calling the authorities. I blocked the number. That night I slept in my parents' room and I cried so much. At 1:30 a.m. I got another message on my phone from a different number than before saying, "Can you honestly tell me you've enjoyed this past month?" It took this psycho 3 hours to have a new number and start texting me again. I sent a very long, nasty message describing just how great my life was without him. and again told him to not contact me. I had to change my number, my garage code, and my front door code. A few weeks later, I got 3 letters in the mail from him, all very possessive and nasty. One was a suicide note describing exactly how and why he killed himself. I called the city dispatch and sent a wellness check. He was alive. He told the officer that he was just upset. I had done a lot to try to get him into some sort of mental care. He refused time and time again. I told the officer to tell him directly that if he contacted me again in any way that I'd be filing for a stalking and harassment report. Lo and behold, a week or so later, I get a message on Facebook from a very, very fake account. All of his posts and information were clear indicators that it was him. Unfortunately, I had to read that notebook he left on my porch, and holy fucking shit when I say he's crazy. He is fucking crazy. In the notebook, he admitted to lying to me about attempting suicide, lied to me about being hospitalized, and lied to me about going into psych. He said it was better for me to believe us breaking up made him suicidal. He also admitted to a lot of illegal activity and that he cheated on every single girl he was with. The whole notebook traumatized me even more. I went to the police station and filed a report. 2 days after I filed the report, I got more letters in the mail from him. One admitted to him watching me from a hill outside of my house, and the other was him trying to return our engagement rings that I left with his belongings. He told me that it was smart to change my phone number, but that I could not change my address, so he would keep sending me letters until he won me over again. The last 2 letters were sent from a different state. That means he moved away. I'm very happy that I don't have to worry about my physical safety anymore. But every week, I get more and more letters. He's obsessed with me, and I simply don't understand why. He cheated because some fucked up part of his brain wasn't satisfied with me, and now that he's without me, he's literally going fucking crazy. I never want to see that man again. I'm terrified of him. I still look over my shoulder thinking he'll be there even though he moved. And every time I get a call or text from a random number, I think it's him and panic. Even though I changed my phone number, I have nightmares of him. He mentally fucked me up so bad, and I can only realize that now that he's gone. I hope he stops sending me letters or that he goes to jail. This will happen to another girl if he's not punished, and I want justice for myself, but I also want to protect that future girl. I truly hate him and wish the worst for him. Wow. Guys, that was the most intense story so far. Let's really think about this for a second. I mean, I'm glad the person's taking legal action, right? But there's just this beyond problem. I'll keep my personal stuff as private as possible, but I've seen and witnessed a lot of things in my life. Victims of abuse tend to never be able to break out of the cycle. The fact that this person was able to break out of the cycle of abuse and not stay with this person is a big deal. So this person should feel proud of themselves, guys. I'm not gonna lie, this story was something. I'm sorry. I hope that whatever happens in the future turns out better. I hope this guy leaves you alone. I hope that authorities deal with him accordingly. You got to try something. This is messed up. This is messed up. Yeah, guys, just stay safe out there, man. Just stay safe out there. You never know when you can meet the wrong person, bro. Never know. This guy from Alcoholics Anonymous started stalking me. I am an alcoholic, and I have been sober for 9 years. That is without a doubt my proudest accomplishment. I started getting help during sophomore year of high school. Looking back, I am so grateful for the timing. If I had hit rock bottom later, things would only have gone worse. My parents actually transferred me to a different school so I could start fresh and meet new people. By the time I turned 18, a few months before graduation, I had already been sober for over 2 years. That was around the time I started aging out most of the teen recovery programs. A lot of counselors I worked with only focused on youth cases, so I had to start finding adult support groups. I grew up in Los Angeles, but not the touristy part. My neighborhood had liquor stores every few blocks and corner shops with thick plexiglass windows. Alcoholism was really common and normalized. So once the teen programs ended for me, I started going to early morning AA meetings on Tuesday and Thursdays. They were held in a small church near my school. I did not have first period on those days, so it worked out perfectly. After the meetings, I would usually stay for a couple extra minutes to write in my journal or just sit in quiet. One morning, this guy stayed after the meeting and asked me what I was writing. I told him I was journaling. He said he liked the idea and wanted to try it himself. After that, he started sitting next to me at every meeting. We would talk a bit afterward. He seemed normal. He was about my age. He knew I was about to graduate and asked if I planned to keep coming to that group during the summer. I told him I wasn't sure yet. I had just gotten a job across town and was looking into meetings closer to where I would be working. I could tell he did not love that answer. Sometimes you can just see the disappointment on people's faces. I used to talk a lot in those meetings. I did not just go to sit in silence. I brought energy into that room. I like to think I helped people feel a bit better. I think he felt that too. And I think that is why he did not want me to leave. People have told me I talk too much, so maybe I'm just flattering myself and everyone else wanted me to be quiet, but I like to think I was making a difference. He asked again when I would be switching to a different group, and again I said I did not know yet. I told him I planned to keep coming through the end of the school year. I do not remember if I ever told him the name of my school, but I always wore royal blue and gold. He knew I went to school nearby, just around the corner from the church. It wouldn't have been too hard to figure it out. Then, in the last 2 weeks of senior year, everything got wild. We had senior ditch day, late night hangouts, sleepovers, goodbye parties, etc. I missed the AA meetings at the church, and then I switched AA groups all together. And graduation, everything was great, but that guy showed up. It was so off. He did not know me like that. I had never invited him. We were not close, but there he was, smiling at me from the back like it was completely normal. He came over afterward and brought me a gift. It was a box of chocolates and a note about how much he would miss me. He said I should drop by the meetings again sometime. I uncomfortably said something like, "Thank you." I never went back. The whole situation was just too weird. I did not want to see him again. And then he showed up at my new job. I was working the cosmetic counter at a big department store. The cosmetics department actually had its own cash register. The first time he walked by, I noticed him. And then he came back the next day and the day after that. He never spoke or asked for help. He just wandered around near my station, looking over at me like it was no big deal. He didn't even try to be subtle. Eventually, I told one of my coworkers, the type of woman who does not play. She racked right up in front of him and asked what he thought he was doing. She called him out in front of everybody. She said she knew exactly why he was there and that it was creepy and toxic. A few shoppers turned around to see what was going on. His face turned red and he walked away without saying anything. We told our manager afterward. The manager was glad we spoke, but reminded us to let her know right away next time. There was no next time though, since he never came back. I have not seen him since, and hopefully he got bored and moved on. I don't really care what he wanted. Wow, that was an interesting story. I've noticed a lot of stalking stories on Let's Not Meet. I guess that makes sense, but yeah, be careful out there. Really, like, OP, just be careful. At the end of the day, there's a lot of horrible people in this world, and the last thing I want to hear is, oh, Sparky Hills 22 was found dead or some crazy crap. I don't know. Something messed up like that. So just be careful out there, man. I hope you're doing all right, and take care. Just take care. It's scary. I think my mom's instincts saved us, plus a disturbing update. To the man at the motel, let's never meet again. Hello, Reddit. This is my first post, so please be patient with me. I've been debating on whether or not I should share my story or not. So far, the latter has been beat out. As I've grown older, I've been reflecting on this moment, and I am curious about your thoughts. I am a writer, so some of the details may seem suspiciously descriptive, as if they were written by AI, but that is all just me. This is a long read. A bit of context. This happened about 7 or so years ago, way more than 3 years as I said in my title. I just wanted it to flow better. My family and I visited a lake in a state far away from our own for our very first and last family reunion. Spoiler alert, it did not go well. Safe to say that the lack of AC during the hot summer month of July and different conflicting personalities and 3 families in the Airbnb caused a lot of tension. And it all blew up on the 4th of July. After midnight, my mom got fed up and took me, 10 female, I was sick at the time, with her to stay at a hotel. My sibling, 8, non-binary, and dad stayed at the house since they were enjoying themselves. We flew to the state, so we did not have a car, and even if we did, it most likely would have been blocked in by other family members' cars. After much squabbling about our means of transportation, my grandparents, who lived in the same state as us, let my mom drive their car to go stay at an air-conditioned hotel away from the family drama. Now we are getting to it. My mom and I drove through the dark, empty streets for a little while before we came across a motel, a familiar chain motel that we recognized. On the side of the road, since it was very late and my mom had a sick kid in the car, she settled in, staying for the night. Pulling into a circular drive, we saw movement beneath the trees of an island in the middle of the asphalt. As my mom pulled into a driving spot, a man dressed in all camo smoking a cigarette emerged from the shadows of the island, and once we got to the car, he asked, "Do y'all want a room?" To which my mom responded, "Yes." Because why else would we be at a motel? It was a little odd that this man, who I assumed to be an employee, was wearing a full camo hat, pants, shirt, and not a uniform. We walked into a little lobby, which was really just a small room with a computer, a front desk, and a few armchairs. He walked behind the desk, clacking away on the computer as my mom described the room we would like. A queen bed and a non-smoke room. The man nodded, commenting, "Are you two alone?" I cannot remember if my mom responded, but handed us the key to the room. And I cannot remember if my mom responded, but handed us the key to the room. Not a card like I was used to, but a literal keychain. I thought it was odd, but then brushed it off as a regional difference. This town doesn't get much traffic as the other popular cities around it, so maybe they don't have the budget or need for key cards. Then it got unsettling. He tried to make small talk, asked me about what we were doing here, how we were liking the fireworks, etc., and then led us to our room on the first floor. That's not too bad, right? But then he opened our door and let us in a room while showing us around. The moment he opened up the room, the sickening stench of smoke hit us, even though we specifically asked for a non-smoke room. He started twisting a knob to the air conditioning, turning on the bathroom light and opening the closet door, showing us where everything was. This was a tiny room, big enough for one bed, a thin closet in the wall, and two little nightstands, so the tour was unnecessary. My mom stood outside of the room, arms crossed and almost on guard. I, being exhausted, stepped in the room, holding my stuffy and blanket, ready to knock out and go to bed. As the man walked into the bathroom, my mom finally spoke up. "OP, come here." Her tone was stern, one to sound like the pursed lip warning many kids when they get in trouble, but this one held a dangerous edge to it. The man came back out and was milling around the room. When she repeated herself under her breath, I eventually gave in, rolling my eyes in annoyance as I left the room. She grabbed me the second I crossed the threshold and moved me behind her. We walked back to the lobby to find a new room that was truly non-smoke, and my mom made sure to stay far between us. While in the lobby, he made a comment that broke the camel's back. "You two are sure far away from home," as he rang us up, holding onto my mom's credit card as she looked at her phone. Even though I was young, this comment made my stomach twist, but I couldn't understand why. Suddenly, the lobby filled with ringing, the tune of my mom's ringtone echoing off the pale walls. "Oh, 1 minute. It's my husband," she said, holding up a finger to me as I prodded at her. The conversation was something like this. "Mom. Hello. Hi, honey. What was that?" Me. "Mom, who is it? Why is Dad calling?" Mom shushes me. "Oh, are you with insert sibling's name? We found a place." "Oh, okay, yeah. We'll see you there. Got it. Love you." Like the annoying kid I was practically tugging at my mom's sleeve, asking her when my sibling and Dad were. Mom brushed me off, gesturing me to grab her card as she informed the man that my husband and kid are down the road. They already checked into a room, so we're just gonna go meet them. I'm still asking her about what was going on since I was very confused. As we made our way back to the car, I flooded her with questions and she simply just looked forward, clasping my hand. I hopped in the back seat and we backed out, quickly leaving the drive. And in a nearly cinematic moment, my mom turns to me, finally answering the question in the most jaw-dropping manner for 10-year-old me. I lied. Boom. I felt like my world exploded. I had always been thought about stranger danger and kidnappers, but this was a whole new territory for me, one that most women have to live through every waking moment. She filled me in as we drove, winding through the roads into town. While I was busy thinking about falling into a smoky and dingy bed, my mom was in full-on panic mode. Her mom instincts flared up the moment he opened our door for us, most likely trying to rationalize what was going on. Once we reached our room, easily accessed on the bottom floor with the key that the man most likely had a spare of and that did not meet our specifications, she devised a plan. While we made our way back to the lobby, blabbing about a new room, she had been texting my dad, telling him where we were and to call her. The conversation went like this. Mom. Hello. Hi, honey. What was that? Hello. No. Mom. Hello. Hi, honey. What was that? Dad. Are you okay? Mom's name. What's going on? Mom. Oh, are you with insert sibling's name? We found a place. Oh. Okay, yeah, we'll see you there. God, I love you. Dad. Huh? Q uttered confusion. Her worries were further confirmed with the man's strange and overly personal questions. The reality of the situation began to set in for me. A little part of me that was still innocent and naive to the ways of the world cracking. In the end, we found a safer hotel further into town with a pool and we stayed there for the rest of our trip, later joined by my dad and sibling. Now onto the update that freaked me out even more. My sibling and I recently visited the town with our grandparents for a quick family trip, and we stayed at a house on the same lake where we had the reunion. On our way to the house, our car passed the charred remains of a building, gates and caution tape surrounding the area. My grandma pointed out and informed me that it was a motel my mom and I had stayed at. It had burnt down in October of 2023, and I have scored the internet for any answers, and I have found none. The name did change from when we first went, but I was still able to find it. Let me know if you want the name in the comments. I feel like the fact that it mysteriously burned down adds to the unsettling experience my mom and I had there. After looking back at this moment with new, older eyes, I am very, very glad that my mom got us out of there. She has not, that I can remember, had a sort of feeling like that one since, and I have gained even more admiration for her. I'll never know what would have happened if we stayed, and to the man in the... let's not meet again. Wow, that was a story, bruh. Damn, all these OPs, man. Stay safe. I'm serious when I say that. Stay safe. I mean, oh my. This story was something. I don't even know the full context, but that is just such a scary situation, man. You know, you got to be safe out there in this day and age. You know how it is. Man, OP. All I got to say is you're... Man, stay safe. Your mom is the GOAT. I don't know how to put it. Your mom is awesome. Always stay safe and appreciate parents for protecting us from strangers like that. I mean, wow. That in one way that was a beautiful story. And there you have it, guys, gals, ladies, gentlemen, whatever. That was some creepy Reddit stories. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want to see more Reddit stories like this. I actually enjoyed these stories. I'll be honest with you. I try to ask permission for a lot of stories, so this video took a while to make because a lot of people didn't get back to me, and I worked really hard, only to be met with disappointment of, oh, no response, so you can't use this story. I always ask for permission for stories before I use them, so that's why it took so long to get a video out. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.